In the dramatic world of the bold and the beautiful, connections are infrequently simple, trust is constantly tested, and the line between love and treason frequently disappears in a storm of secrets. In the rearmost shocking twist that has suckers buzzing, Electra and Will find themselves at the center of a calculated manipulation scheme that threatens to destroy not only their relationship, but also the fragile alliances within the important Forrester circle. What begins as a putatively minor misreading soon spirals into a full-scale sabotage plot, orchestrated by someone who has been watching their every move. Electra had believed that her bond with Will was eventually getting stable after weeks of emotional pressure and moping dubieties. She had tried to ignore the whispers and suspicious ganders from others at Forrester Creations, induced that the drama girding them would ultimately fade. But fate had commodity far darker planned. One autumn, while reviewing new design sketches, Electra receives an anonymous communication that incontinently shakes her confidence. The communication contains prints that appear to show Will intimately meeting with another woman late at night. The images are vague, but satisfying enough to enkindle mistrustfulness. Electra's mind begins contending with questions. Was Will cheating on her? Had he been lying each along? She tries to calm herself, reminding herself that appearances can be deceiving. Still, the seed of dubitation has been planted, and it begins growing snappily. Meanwhile, Will is fully ignorant of the storm erecting around him. He believes that effects between him and Electra are perfecting. After weeks of emotional exchanges and pledges to be more open with each other, he feels hopeful for the first time in months. That stopgap is shattered when Electra suddenly confronts him in the design office, her voice shaking with wrathfulness and treason. She throws the prints onto the table, demanding an explanation. Will gapes at the images in confusion, averring that he has no way seen the woman in the prints ahead. His denial only energizes Electra's frustration. From her perspective, the substantiation is clear. She accuses him of demeaning her and manipulating her trust, while Will desperately tries to understand how such a misreading could live. Unknown to both of them, someone is watching from a distance, still pleased with how impeccably the plan is unfolding. The mysterious manipulator had precisely arranged the entire situation, using offered photos and precisely timed dispatches to drive a wedge between Electra and Will. This person understands the unpredictable emotional history within the Forrester family and knows exactly how to exploit it. The thing is simple: break them piecemeal and produce chaos that will ripple through the company and the family. As Electra storms out of the office, Will feels the weight of confusion and wrathfulness crushing him. He begins probing the prints, determined to prove his innocence. But every step he takes seems to lead to another handicap. Security footage from the structure mysteriously disappears. Phone records that might clear his name suddenly come unapproachable. It becomes clear that someone with access and influence is designedly covering their tracks. Meanwhile, Electra's emotional state grows decreasingly fragile. Musketeers and associates try to console her, but each discussion only deepens her query. Some still suggest that Will might not be as secure as he claims. Others encourage her to defy him again and demand the full verity. The disagreeing advice leaves Electra feeling trapped between her heart and her pride. Deep down, she still wants to believe Will is innocent, but the substantiation keeps pushing her toward mistrustfulness. The situation becomes indeed more complicated when rumors begin spreading through the halls of Forrester Creations. Workers brood about secret meetings, retired connections, and possible backstabbings. What started as a private conflict between two people snappily evolves into a public reproach that threatens the company's image. Elderly members of the family grow concerned that the drama could distract from important business opinions. In the middle of this chaos, Will eventually discovers a pivotal indication. While reviewing a security log from a near parking structure, he notices a timestamp that doesn't match the timeline shown in the photos. The images appear to have been manipulated. The consummation sends a swell of determination through him. Someone designedly created false substantiation to make him look shamefaced. Now, the question is why? As he digs deeper, Will begins noticing other strange patterns: anonymous dispatches transferred from untraceable accounts, lines mysteriously altered in the company's internal system, and certain individualities who feel strangely eager to encourage Electra's distrust. Each discovery strengthens his belief that he and Electra are being played by someone who understands their emotional vulnerabilities. Unfortunately, persuading Electra of that verity proves far more delicate. By the time Will approaches her with his proposition, she has formally erected a defensive wall around her heart. The pain of feeling betrayed has made her conservative and skeptical. When Will tries to explain the inconsistencies in the prince, Electra accuses him of contriving defenses. She reminds him that trust, formerly broken, cannot fluently be repaired. The pressure between them becomes nearly unsupportable, leaving both of them feeling insulated and mis-new. Behind the scenes, the architect of the sabotage continues to watch the situation unfold with calculated tolerance. Every argument, every moment of mistrustfulness, and every scuttlebutt spreading through the company strengthens the chaos they hoped to produce. The manipulator knows that emotional conflict within the Forrester circle frequently leads to dramatic consequences. Alliances shift, secrets face, and long-buried battles reappear. By targeting Electra and Will, they've burned a chain response that could reshape the power dynamics within the family. Yet indeed the most precisely drafted plans can begin to unravel. As further people start questioning the suspicious circumstances girding the photos, subtle cracks appear in the manipulator's strategy. One co-worker remembers seeing strange outfit near the position where the prints were taken. Another recalls a heated discussion involving someone who sounded strangely invested in Electra and Will's relationship. Piece by piece, the verity begins creeping near to the face. The emotional risk on Electra and Will, still, continues to consolidate. Both struggle with clashing feelings, love, wrathfulness, stopgap, and sweat all colliding within them. They flash back the moments when their connection felt genuine and important, but those recollections are now overshadowed by the dubitation that someone designedly turned them against each other. The question that haunts them both is whether their relationship can survive such advised treason. As pressures rise and hidden motives sluggishly crop, the story becomes one of adaptability as much as deception. Electra begins redefining the possibility that she may have judged Will too snappily. Small details start resurfacing in her memory: the confusion in his eyes when she first brazened him, the way he kept averring that commodity was wrong with the substantiation, the determination he showed while trying to uncover the verity. Meanwhile, Will refuses to give up on proving his innocence and exposing whoever manipulated them. His hunt for answers becomes not only about clearing his name, but also about restoring the trust that formerly was between them. In true fashion of the bold and the beautiful, the drama girding Electra and Will promises to escalate indeed further. As secrets unravel and alliances shift, the identity of the person responsible for the sabotage may shock everyone involved. The disclosure could expose retired grievances, long-standing battles, or intentions that have been still erecting behind the scenes for months. For Electra and Will, the coming days will determine whether their bond is strong enough to overcome manipulation or whether the damage foisted by this scheme will permanently separate them. What's certain is that the fallout won't remain limited to just the two of them. Within the glamorous but unpredictable world of the Forrester family, one precisely orchestrated act of deception can spark consequences that ripple across connections, careers, and reports. As the verity sluggishly approaches the face, observers can anticipate emotional competitions, unanticipated admissions, and maybe indeed a shocking alliance formed in the pursuit of justice. In the end, the sabotage of Electra and Will may reveal far further about the retired dynamics of power, fidelity, and vengeance within the Forrester macrocosm than anyone ever anticipated. The emotional storm girding Electra and Will continues to consolidate in the unfolding drama of the bold and the beautiful, where manipulation infrequently stays hidden for long, and every secret ultimately finds its way into the light. After their explosive battle, the distance between Electra and Will grows sorrowfully wider. Electra throws herself into work at Forrester Creations, trying to bury her heartache beneath long hours and endless design variations. On the face she appears composed, determined, and concentrated, but those closest to her can see the cracks forming beneath the calm surface. Every time she passes the office where she formerly participated quiet exchanges with Will, recollections rush back, moments when she believed they truly understood each other. Those recollections now feel poisoned by mistrustfulness, and the query leaves her emotionally exhausted. Meanwhile, Will refuses to accept the narrative that has been forced upon him. He knows someone designedly manipulated the substantiation, and he becomes decreasingly hung up with proving it. Late nights are spent reviewing security records, questioning workers, and retracing the timeline of the mysterious photos that touched off the entire conflict. Each detail strengthens his conviction that the situation was finagled with perfection. Whoever is responsible understood not only the physical logistics of carrying the prince, but also the emotional vulnerabilities of both Electra and Will. That consummation sends a bite through him. This was an arbitrary act of sabotage. It was particular. As whispers continue circulating through the halls of Forrester Creations, several familiar faces begin taking sides. Some believe Electra's wrathfulness is justified, arguing that the prince appeared too satisfying to be fake. Others sympathize with Will, pointing out that his confusion during the battle sounded genuine. The disunited opinions produce pressure throughout the plant, turning everyday relations into subtle battlefields of fidelity and dubitation. Indeed, routine meetings come awkward, with workers swapping conservative ganders whenever Electra and Will's names are mentioned. The drama begins hanging the company's character, commodity that deeply concerns the important Forrester family members who have spent decades erecting their heritage. During one particularly tense autumn, Will discovers an advance that shifts the entire disquisition in a new direction. While examining digital metadata attached to one of the anonymous dispatches transferred to Electra, he notices a retired hand embedded in the train's coding structure. It's faint, nearly unnoticeable unless someone knows exactly where to look. The hand points toward a technical print editing program used by only a sprinkle of professionals within the fashion assiduity. Suddenly, the sabotage appears far more sophisticated than he originally suspected. Whoever orchestrated this scheme possesses specialized knowledge, access to advanced editing tools, and enough tolerance to fabricate satisfying substantiation. At the same time, Electra gests a moment that shakes her certainty. While agitating the situation with a trusted coworker, she hears a detail that doesn't align with what she believed about the night the photos were taken. According to the timeline shown in the images, Will should have been at a specific position during a late evening meeting. But another substantiation claims they saw him nearly entirely different at that exact time. The contradiction unsettles her deeply. For the first time since the battle, Electra begins wondering if she may have been manipulated. The possibility terrifies her because it means someone designedly targeted her feelings to produce chaos. Behind the scenes, the architect behind the sabotage grows decreasingly conservative. The manipulator had anticipated Electra and Will to fully turn against each other, allowing the conflict to helical beyond form. Rather, small fractions of verity are starting to crop. Determined to maintain control, the graffitist still adjusts the plan, spreading new rumors designed to keep the pressure alive. Anonymous tips begin appearing in unanticipated places, intimating at fresh backstabbings and secret alliances. The thing remains the same: upkeep Electra and Will separated long enough for their trust to collapse permanently. But emotional bonds are infrequently that simple. Despite everything that has happened, both Electra and Will continue allowing about each other constantly. Late at night, when the noise of the day fades down, recollections resurface with painful clarity. Electra remembers the sincerity in Will's voice when he promised he'd no way hurt her. Will remembers the quiet smile she gave him during their foremost moments together, before dubitation and manipulation entered their lives. Those recollections become important monuments that the verity might be more complicated than the photos suggested. Ultimately, circumstances force them into the same room again. A pivotal design donation requires both of them to attend a meeting with elderly members of the Forrester family. The atmosphere is thick with pressure as they sit across the table from each other, avoiding eye contact while associates bandy fabrics, marketing strategies, and forthcoming fashion shows. The professional setting cannot hide the emotional history hanging between them. At one point their eyes compactly meet, and the silence between them says further than any argument ever could. After the meeting ends, Will eventually gathers the courage to approach Electra formally more. Rather of criminating or defending himself, he still shares the substantiation. He has uncovered the manipulated timestamps, the retired editing hand, and the inconsistencies in the photos. Electra listens in silence, her expression undecipherable. Every piece of information challenges the hypotheticals she has been adhering to since the battle. By the time he finishes explaining, the certainty that fueled her wrathfulness has been replaced by a heavy sense of mistrustfulness. Still, rebuilding trust is far more delicate than planting dubitation. Electra admits that the new substantiation raises serious questions, but she also confesses that the emotional damage has formerly been done. Feeling betrayed, indeed if the treason was manufactured, left a deep scar. Will understands her vacillation. He knows trust cannot be demanded or rushed. Rather, he promises to continue searching for the verity, not just to clear his name, but to expose whoever manipulated them both. As this pledge hangs in the air, the larger story within the bold and the beautiful begins moving toward another dramatic turning point. Further suggestions are arising, and the circle of suspects sluggishly narrows. Several individualities with retired motives suddenly find themselves under quiet scrutiny. Old battles within the Forrester world start resurfacing, suggesting that the sabotage may be connected to a deeper power struggle rather than simple covetousness. The emotional consequences of the manipulation ripple outward through every relationship connected to Electra and Will. Musketeers who formerly tried to stay neutral now feel compelled to choose sides as new exposures appear. Exchanges formerly concentrated on fashion and business strategies decreasingly revolve around trust, fidelity, and the peril of retired dockets. The glamorous world of high fashion becomes the stage for an unfolding cerebral battle, where every smile could hide a secret and every coexistence might be part of a larger plan. Electra sluggishly begins reclaiming her emotional strength. Rather of allowing herself to remain trapped in wrathfulness and confusion, she starts laboriously sharing in the hunt for the verity. Her determination surprises those who assumed she'd simply part herself from the entire situation. Working alongside Will, precisely, cautiously, they start making together the final fractions of the sabotage mystification. Their cooperation rekindles a faint spark of the connection they formerly participated. Yet peril still lingers. The person responsible for the manipulation realizes that exposure may be approaching. Despair begins replacing confidence, making their coming move far more changeable. In the dramatic macrocosm of the bold and the beautiful, despair frequently leads to reckless opinions, and reckless opinions can unleash consequences nothing anticipated. As the verity edges near to the face, the question facing Electra and Will becomes larger than simply relating the graffitist. They must decide whether their relationship is strong enough to survive the emotional damage foisted by deception. Love tested by treason can either collapse fully or crop stronger than a head. For Electra and Will, the answer will determine not only their unborn together, but also the balance of trust within the important circle that surrounds them. And as observers know all too well, in the ever-shifting drama of the bold and the beautiful, the moment the verity is eventually revealed is infrequently the end of the story. It is frequently only the morning of an indeed more explosive chapter.